What's up? I want to share this story while it's fresh. Last night, I almost got into a fight with this local Puerto Rican. Well, I wouldn't say almost got into a fight because I really wasn't going to fight him. So the story is that this dude left his phone in my car. He called me up saying, hey, find my phone. I left my phone. And I told him I don't speak Spanish, poquito, so I had this lady translate it. This is another Uber rider. And then so she was explaining to him that I have the phone and blah, blah, blah. So I was like, well, tell him to meet me over here at this restaurant. And then he was like all yelling. And then I was like, because I told her to tell him it's a $15 fine. That's the Uber policy. You got to pay $15 for us to go. It's an inconvenience to meet up where you're at to get your phone because it's your responsibility. You're the one that left the phone, not me. So she told the guy, and then he was like cursing. I was like, what did he say? And then she's like, I don't know. He seemed pretty mad that he had to pay the $15. He's like, he's gonna do it, but he was like cursing. And then she said, if I were you, I would just, give him the phone and just leave, So I was like thinking, but I've never dropped off a phone to someone and them never paying me, that's the Uber fee. So he kept blowing up my phone, and I'm like, okay, I knew a little bit of Spanish, like, yo, tranquilo, voy a dejar, voy a dejar otro cliente, in mi guagua. Anyway, so I was telling him I'm gonna meet up with him. So I met up with him. Boy, I saw him at the restaurant. I had my blinkers on, which I went up to him. I could see him pacing back and forth. And he had this, like, he was walking. He had his, he had his palms like ready to punch. And I rolled down the window. I'm like, here's your phone, And he was like, okay. And then I was like, hey, dame $15. Necesito pagarme. I said, you still need to pay $15. And then, he was like, he was kind of like iffing at me. And then I was like, oh man. So I started driving up a little forward, I'm like, no, don't worry about it. No, tranquilo, no problema. And then as I was driving off, he was like chasing me like a dog, dog chasing a car. He was like yelling at me, like, I didn't understand what he was saying, but I think what he was saying is like, wait, you think you're trying to mess me over? You make me pay $15, what do you think you are? So that's what I think what he was saying. So like basically, if I would have entertained him, if I would have stopped my car, yeah, we would have been scrapping, but I didn't want to fight him. And then I was like kind of trying to understand this when I was asking ChatGPT the whole situation, it's a whole scenario. I said, ChatGPT, can you analyze what's going on? He was like, and then ChatGPT was like, no, it's not a cultural thing. It was a misunderstanding. And this is an example why you need to learn Spanish, because when you're in a situation like this, you can't explain to them like that's the policy, and the language barrier, you using Google Translator and ChatGPT can only go so far, but this is an example why you need to learn Spanish. But anyway, that's my story. Almost got into a fight, but that lady was right. She was like, if you notice some red flags, just go ahead and give him the phone and just leave. And that's what I did. So that's my story that's my story for today from what happened last night.